Rest your head, love, and when you wake.
Hello, I'm Dave Bui. I work here in Siemens Ireland. I work for the PS and PG division. About 6 months ago I did a short video about how we were doing in Ireland in the division I work in, and I thought it was probably about time to do a bit of an update and talk about a few things. So I'm here in the scrum room in the office, and in this room every month we have a management meeting, and in that meeting we present these pages on the wall behind us. Each division presents how it's doing. This one here is the PS and PG update for this month. And it's a mixture of kind of some financial information and kind of an update on some of the strategic topics. Right, so on the finances side, we started the year with a budget for order entry of around 7 million. Most of that, around 5 million, was going to come from a big order from ESB at Poolbeg to do a major overhaul. That was actually postponed into next year, so we were back to around 1.5 million, which is a long way from our kind of budget value of 7 million. So we've had to work hard this year, myself and Daniel and Owen, to try and recover some of that money through other mechanisms. And we've closed most of the gap, really, is the story. We'll end up around 6 million, I think, in order entry for this year. Combination of selling instrumentation and control systems to Moneypoint. We did a lot of work at Huntstown, and we've extended the LTP contract, and there's some order entry in that. And we've also had some breakdowns at Poolbeg on the generator side, which has resulted in us doing some extra work that wasn't planned. So they were the main things that allowed us to kind of close the gap back up. So that's, I suppose, at the end of the year, we'll be back to a reasonably good position financially. In terms of what our strategic plans are, I mean, a lot of it's about growth for us in PS and PG. We have to try and grow the business. Owen O'Neill started during the year, and he's focused on distributed generation and smaller power plants. And we think there's a market there in Ireland for that, and Owen is working hard to develop opportunities around that. So we think that will be a big driver in the future. And there are also some big opportunities. Belfast Power still is a real opportunity. Daniel is working hard on that. I think every week he spends time working with the customer and working with our colleagues in the UK and in Siemens AG. I work a lot around Case Larn, which is the compressed air energy storage project up in Northern Ireland, it's been challenging, and Gay Electric, the developer, are probably not going to develop that project in the future, but we are working with a company that will probably take the project on and develop it from here. So, strategically things are going well. Huntstown is running well. We've extended the ability for the engine to run into a longer period than would be normally possible before we do maintenance. That really helps the customer. And that engine, since kind of December last year when we did a lot of upgrades, has run almost non-stop until we had a planned shutdown at the beginning of September to do some work that had backed up, and all that went really well. So Owen O'Neill managed that, and he did a really good job of bringing everyone together at the right time. So, things are pretty good in PS and PG at this stage of the year, I think. I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the technology we use as well. And I suppose I'm an engineer, I kind of like this stuff. And I wanted to share with you what we know about gas turbines and what we do with gas turbines. When we say we're doing outages, or we're working at Poolbeg or working at Huntstown, we're often exchanging or putting in new turbine parts. And the most interesting, most expensive, most advanced parts we put in are turbine blades and vanes. And this is a stage 1 turbine vane. And what it does is it guides the hot gases into the path of the blades. These parts are very expensive, they're very high tech. They have, as you can see, holes in the blades. And when this blade is in the machine, there's cold air or cooler air basically passing over the blade, and the blade is encased in a film of cooled air. This blade would see temperatures in the hot gas of around 1200 degrees Celsius, and the material would just melt if it didn't have a cooling pattern. Another interesting thing about this blade is it's what's called a single crystal material. You know, sometimes when you see materials looked, at a microscopic level, they look very different, and often when you have metals and you look at them under a microscope, what you see is they look like grains, and in between the grains there are imperfections. And this blade has no grains, and that's what it means by single crystal. So when it's cast in a very special way that's kind of top secret, but effectively this blade has no internal grain structure, and that makes it very, very strong, and able to withstand the temperatures that it sees when it's in the machine. And the blades are often coated in ceramic, and I'll show you. That's a stage 1 vane. Right, this is a stage 2 blade. It's a bit different from the vane I just showed you, and probably the most obvious difference is the color, right? So it's white, and this one looks like it's metal. This is metal as well. I turn it on its end, you can see it's metal. The white is just a coating, but the coating is very special. It's a ceramic material, and the ceramic material effectively is a thermal barrier to the hot gas. So this blade has less cooling, does have some cooling on the leading edge of the blade, but generally has less cooling, but has a ceramic coating that helps protect it. It also is internally cooled. If you look at the bottom, there's holes that allow cold air to go up, and this blade is a rotating blade. So that means it slots into the disc of the engine and would rotate around, and would have a partner here and a partner on either side when it's in service. And in fact, it'd probably be in a disc, there might be 50, 60, 70 of these blades in a single disc. And that's interesting because each one of these blades generates between 1 and 2 megawatts of power. And that's a lot of power. If you think about a wind turbine, the newer wind turbines we would have in Ireland, most of them would be 3DD machines, so they would generate about 3 megawatts. So if you looked at one of these, happen to find one of these in here in the scrum room, but one of these blades that might be around 50 meters long would generate, probably a little bit less power than one of these things that I can pick up in my hand. So that would give you an idea of how strong this needs to be able to generate as much power as a 50-meter wind turbine blade. And the fact that there's maybe 50 or 60 in a single disc gives you an idea of the power density you can get out of a gas turbine. So yeah, that's a little bit about gas turbine technology and blades and vanes. And these pieces are sitting here in our office. So I'd encourage you to come in, have a look, pick them up, wash your hands after them. It's kind of an Inconel material, so.
Rest your head, love. And when you
Each blade costs about the same as a Porsche 911, so please leave them in the office if you can. And yeah, it'd be great to have a chat if you're interested or would like any more information about them. Thanks very much for hanging in there and listening to this. If you have any questions about PS and PG, what we're doing, have a look on here. Come and have a chat to myself or Daniel or Owen, or come around and have a play with the blades and stuff that we've left around where we sit. Talk to you soon. Take care. Bye bye.